This is the digital channel of the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. I am Manoj Mainkar, and in the next half hour, I'll bring to you news updates from India and around the world, awareness videos on coronavirus by Government of India, and a lot more. We'll begin with the news updates.
This is the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. Namaskar. The news snippets. Read by Maria Albina Michael. 424,433 people have recovered from COVID-19 in India. In the last 24 hours, 15,350 people have recovered. 180,596 people have been tested for COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. The recovery rate in the national capital, Delhi, is now about 72%. 21 states and union territories have reported higher recovery rate than the national average. Thiruvananthapuram has gone into a triple lockdown with only groceries, pharmacies and few other essential shops open. The Kerala Secretariat is also closed. The triple lockdown would be in force for a week. Deliberations have been held for the formulation of Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2020. A high-level committee formed will focus on the need for more incentives for funding R&D. China has raised claims over the Sakteng Wildlife Sanctuary in Bhutan. Thimphu has issued a démarche to the Chinese embassy stating that the sanctuary was an integral and sovereign territory of Bhutan. The Standing Committee meeting of the Nepal Communist Party that was to take place today has been postponed. Majority of the 45 members of the SC have asked Prime Minister Oli to resign. President Trump has once again slammed China over the spread of coronavirus. He said China's secrecy and deception allowed the virus to spread all over the world. Authorities in Inner Mongolia region of China have raised a high alert after a suspected case of bubonic plague was reported. It is one of the deadliest bacterial infections in the world. Fighters of the Government of National Accord, the UN-recognized Libyan government, has recaptured the Al-Watia air base from fighters of warlord Khalifa Haftar. And that is the end of the news snippets. The General Overseas Service of All India Radio presents Heartful Conversations. The General Overseas Service of All India Radio presents Heartful Conversations. We bring to you renowned speakers from around the world, motivating you towards a positive and a vibrant life. Today we have with us Mr. Victor Kannan, who is a financial executive with an international non-profit organization. He is an independent thinker and writes frequently for various magazines. Dr. Kannan will be speaking on living heartfully. Let us know more about life from him.
Greetings and Namaste. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today on living heartfully. Life is full of possibilities. We have heard this many times. But we also have heard life is full of unexpected twists and turns. It is like a great voyage. It starts at a specific instant in time, place, and family circumstances with our birth, and like a river meanders around till it dries out or merges with an ocean. The idea of a river merging in the ocean is a powerful one, and we hope our life is such that it gathers momentum like a river and then merges with the big ocean. As we come of age, we begin to make choices, and those choices design our destiny. And these are the choices that make the river either dry out or become mighty as it merges with the ocean. These choices are basically based upon our predilections and upbringing. But where do our preferences come from? They are in fact shaped by our past samskaras. And sometimes we call it as karmas, but I think samskaras are a lot more charitable, for it is a set of memories with which we are born, and those memories are expressed in terms of tendencies and preferences. But we do have our faculty of thinking and free will, with which we are free to make a choice. And we do make choices all the time, and sometimes those choices are predicated by our samskaras, and sometimes they are predicated by our environment. But we do have a choice to pause and think, pause and withdraw, and make a new decision. And when we do that, we decide our destiny afresh. Now, if we want to design our destiny to be happy and joyful, we need to lead a life of meaning, which will give us a sense of fulfillment when we become old. During the World War II, when Nazis were imprisoned, those Jews who did have a sense of meaning, sense of purpose, sense of hope, they lived longer and they were able to escape the cruel act by the Nazis. So the sense of meaning, sense of purpose drives people to live longer and also helps them reach the state of joy and sense of fulfillment. What do we need to do to lead a life of meaning? Living heartfully is essentially to have a life of meaning. Joy and happiness are the qualities of the heart. We speak about a joyful heart and a happy heart. Let us now focus on how to develop such a joyful heart. A rich man is not one who has everything, but one who needs nothing, is a profound statement. We have heard this before. A rich man is not known by what he possesses, but the quality he holds. How can we be that if we don't need anything? This is to mean a contented heart. A rich man who is not contented is not rich at all. But any person who has a contented heart, a generous heart, is truly a rich man. A heart that is contented is happy and joyful. But this does not mean we don't aspire to do and achieve great things in life. A contented heart should not be confused with a lazy mind. Laziness and acquisitiveness are the products of ego, and hence that of the mind. They have to be regulated. Laziness must be converted to rest and activity. Acquisitiveness must be converted into a sense of proportion to recognize responsibility and live accordingly. Ego is to be refined to help us to fulfill our responsibilities to ourselves and also our loved ones. When ego is used for self-aggrandizement of power and fame, it numbs our hearts and our conscience is suppressed. So coming back to developing a contented heart, we need to right-size our desires and also have aspirational goals. We develop acceptance of our situation, whether they are good or bad, poor or rich, healthy or unwell. That's the first step. The second step is when we accept, we also begin to look for transformation, look for change. And this acceptance, along with recognition for help, sets us on a path towards seeking help, getting help, and using that help for transforming ourselves. Acceptance is the first thing for change. And when we seek help, we are in a much better position to use that help fully so that we can see ourselves on the other side of the situation. Whether this help is in the form of education or medical treatment or a therapy, we seek it, follow it till we change the situation. When we are able to overcome the ignorance with education, ill health with proper medicine, poverty with pious earnings, we are embarking upon a joyful life. As we move on, we begin to regulate other things that come along the way as obstacles. Once we meet our basic needs, we begin to enjoy a bit of freedom, and that freedom at times begins carelessness in our choices. And those choices, if they are made selfishly, results in unhappiness, anger, fear, outrage, and a total calamity in our lives and to the loved ones. So we begin to retreat to the core values of the heart, which is to be contented, which is to be joyful, which is to be peaceful, which is also to be aspirational, to be of service to fellow humans, to reach out and touch the other person, and to embrace the humanity in its grandeur, in its magnificence, in its generosity. And so living heartfully is to start from one's own center of existence, to lead a contented heart. And from there, developing aspiration, sense of fulfillment, with a purposeful life, we are able to embrace the rest of the humanity from the core of our heart. So living heartfully is the best way to live a happy and joyful life, a human life which is full of humanity and humaneness.
The Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator is a global collaboration to accelerate the development, production, and equitable access to new COVID-19 tests, treatments, and vaccines. It brings together leaders of governments, global health organizations, civil society groups, businesses, and philanthropies to inform a plan for an equitable response to the pandemic. There are 4 pillars: diagnostics, therapeutics, vaccines, and strengthening health systems. The diagnostic pillar aims to bring to market high-quality rapid tests, train 10,000 healthcare professionals across 50 countries, and establish testing for 500 million people in low- and middle-income countries. Therapeutics focuses on the manufacture and distribution of 245 million treatments for people suffering from COVID-19. The vaccines pillar works to maximize the development, equitable access, and fair allocation of vaccine doses across all countries. And strengthening health systems will support and enhance the healthcare systems and local community networks needed to defeat this pandemic. and ensure the world is ready to take on the next one. We need equitable global access to tests, treatments, and vaccines to end COVID-19 fairly, effectively, and efficiently. Because if one of us is at risk, we're all at risk. We're only safe when everyone is safe.
You are tuned to the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. We now bring you today's commentary. India heads towards self-reliance in agriculture and defense. It is scripted by Shankar Kumar, journalist, and read by Kaushik Rai. India's strength in core sectors, including agriculture and defense, lies in self-reliance, an initiative whose objective is to catapult the country to the top of the global stage. This was implicit when Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the financing facility of rupees 1 lakh crore under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh announced a list of 101 defence items whose import would be embargoed beyond the given timeline. These two developments mark a new phase in India's goal to become self-reliant without losing much time and weakening its tag of being a fast-developing economic power of the world. As regards the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, the aim is to enable the country's farming community to get a greater value for their produce by storing and then selling agricultural produce at higher prices while reducing wastage. This fund also envisages benefits for startups in the agriculture sector, as they will get an opportunity to create an ecosystem by scaling up operations in post-harvest management. As a sizable percentage of the country's population is still dependent on agriculture as means of their survival, this sector offers huge opportunity for investment in the areas of warehousing, cold chain, and food processing. In this regard, medium and long-term debt financing facilities offered by the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund could prove to be highly useful in the development of post-harvest management infrastructure. Besides farmers, primary agriculture credit societies (PACS), farmer produce organizations and agri-entrepreneurs will get benefit from the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. The overall aim is to make farm sector a shining example of India's drive to become a major exporter of food grains. When the world was grappling with the COVID-19 triggered challenges, India's farm sector, like the pharmaceuticals, sustained the world's food supply chain with exports. Agriculture export during the March-June 2020 period increased by 23.24% compared to last year. Certainly, farmers and the agriculture sector have a major role in India's push to become self-reliant in the next couple of years. Similarly, India's resolve to become self-dependent in critical technology, including defense, received a fillip when the Ministry of Defense decided to embargo the import of 101 defense items in a phased manner between 2020 and 2024. For the first time in the history of India, such steps have been taken to better prepare armed forces by availing them with indigenously designed and developed equipment. With this embargo on import of 101 items, it is estimated that contracts worth almost rupees 4 lakh crore will be placed upon the domestic industry within the next 5 to 7 years. Of these, items worth almost rupees 1,30,000 crore each are anticipated for the Army and the Air Force, while items worth almost rupees 1,40,000 crore are anticipated by the Navy over the same period. The embargoed items consist of not just simple parts but also some high technology weapon systems like artillery guns, assault rifles, corvettes, sonar systems, transport aircrafts, light combat helicopters, radars and others. Viewed as a big step towards Atmanirbhar, that is self-reliance in defense, the move offers a great opportunity to the Indian defense industry to rise to the occasion for manufacturing the embargoed items indigenously. They can do this by using their own design and development capabilities or adopting the technologies designed and developed by Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO to meet the requirements of the armed forces in the coming years. To ensure that armed forces do not face problems in acquiring defense technologies, necessary steps have been taken to see that timelines for production of equipment are met. Nonetheless, as a result of the move, not only the domestic sector will grow but also push India closer to achieving the target of becoming a $5 trillion economy. With this, it must be clarified that self-reliant India doesn't mean cutting off the country from the rest of the world. The government has already made it clear that self-reliant translates to being a bigger and more important part of the global economy. That was today's commentary. India heads towards self-reliance in agriculture and defense. It was scripted by Shankar Kumar, journalist, and read by Kaushik Rai. This broadcast came to you from the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.
This broadcast came to you from the digital channel of the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.